Parkersburg Mayor Gene Knotz's fate now rests with the jury.
On the eve of his sentencing, a Wood County jail inmate tries to commit suicide.
And we'll have local reaction to the cloning of a sheep in Scotland. Good evening, I'm Amy Paul.
And I'm Mike McNamara. We'll have details of those stories and more, Fred's weather, and Jim Sports. That's all just ahead on WTAP News at 6.
Serving Parkersburg, Marietta, and the entire Mid-Ohio Valley. This is WTAP News at 6.
Good evening, everyone. It'll be a restless night for Parkersburg Mayor Gene Knotz.
That's because his future now lies in the hands of a Wood County jury. The jury deliberated for just about an hour and a half before going home for the evening. Cynthia Matthews has details on the lengthy closing arguments in tonight's top story.
The Gene Knotz embezzlement case was handed over to the jury around 2 p.m. this afternoon, after both sides presented their closing arguments. Special Prosecutor Philip Morrison II reviewed bank account summaries describing checks Knotz wrote to himself from the West Virginia Assessors Association and cashed or deposited into his personal account. Morrison attacked the defense's claim that the funds were advances or reimbursements.
Why does one who has nothing to hide, however, not write the $8,100 check for the, quote, outstanding loans, end quote, directly to the Assessors Association? Why get a cashier's check? They all knew him. They would have took his personal check.
But defense attorney Harry Ditzler said it was not illegal for Knotz to commingle association and personal funds.
The evidence is absolutely uncontradicted that Gene had the permission. There is no evidence to the contrary. He had the permission of the Assessors Association, moreover the mandate of the Assessors Association, the owners of the cash, the owners of the car, all right, to cash checks to himself. There's no evidence to contradict that. He had their permission to do that, to expend funds and incur debt on their behalf.
Ditzler added that Knotz has never been asked to pay back any money to the Assessors Association or Wood County. So, while the defense maintained that no crime was committed, the prosecution asked for guilty verdicts on both counts of embezzlement.
What is reasonable to believe, finally, is that Eugene A. Knotz embezzled in excess of $1,000 in the Assessors Association dues account, and he intended to do it. And he also intended to embezzle $3,000 in the Wood County Valuation Fund.
In turn, Ditzler asked the 12 jurors to allow 67-year-old Knotz to retire with his dignity. But one of the jury's first decisions was to start their deliberations after a lunch break. Cynthia Matthews, WTAP News, Parkersburg.
Jury deliberations will resume tomorrow morning. Knotz is accused of stealing $3,000 from a county reappraisal fund and $33,000 from 2 State Assessor Association accounts. Amy?
Mike, the waning days of the Knotz trial have attracted a lot of people to the 4th floor courtroom. So many, in fact, that court officials today were concerned the number of occupants, counting judge, attorneys, jury, and spectators, exceeded state fire marshal guidelines. So the number of spectators were limited until it was determined how many could safely be accommodated.
I believe what the code applies to mainly deals with an assembly occupancy is your exiting. The required exiting in the courtroom, which you can see in this courtroom we do have plenty of exiting. You have 4 exits in it. Then they also require the 18-inch per person per seat in this type of fixed seating, which is a pew type seating.